Welcome everybody, and today we're going to dive into the Nuxt UI v3. Nuxt UI is a component library, UI library, fantastic library, which I personally love, and we're going to dive into some nice things. So, by the way, you're able to use it either for a Nuxt project or a Vue project. It's working too, so let's dive into this. I'm gonna click on installation. Of course, you can add it to an already existing project, but you can use the Nuxt starter, which we're gonna do here. So let's copy paste this very comment. I'm gonna use my terminal, go to my sites directory, and here I'm gonna paste it. I'm gonna use the Nuxt example name. I don't care, actually, it already exists, so I'm gonna get rid of it, and here we go, simple and clean. I'm using npm, so you choose the package manager you're using, and then it's installing dependencies, obviously. So I'm gonna cut the video, and when it's all installed, we meet again. Okay, here we go. Now it's all installed, so I'm gonna cd Nuxt example and open it with my code editor, which is Code Insiders. Okay, it's nice and smooth. Now, obviously, we have already this nice Nuxt structure, and if you open Nuxt config tiers, you see this, the future object compatibility version key has the 4 value, which means it already has the architecture of Nuxt 4, which is the reason why we have an app directory. So first thing first, I'm gonna go with the npm run dev and go to this very link, and you will see here we have a nice and very minimalistic landing page. Okay, let's go. Now we're gonna open this page's index view, and you can see that we have a h1 obviously and some view button. Those buttons are here, you see link with a 2 directive icon prop, so it's nice and clean. Let's create something very simple, but just to show you how amazing it is. Then we dive into the most interesting thing about Nuxt UI v3. So here I'm gonna, let's say, add a new layout. So I'm gonna use Nuxt extension, which helped me to create basic thing which we use every day with Nuxt. For example, layout, component, composable. So let's create a new layout, and I'm gonna use the default name. So it's the default layout, obviously. For the moment, it's not updated according to the Nuxt 4, so that's the reason why it's outside of the app directory. So I'm just dragging in and layouts default. Okay, this is my layout here. So to tell my whole application I'm gonna use it, I'm gonna just here say right between Nuxt layout here, my Nuxt page component. Okay, so there's obviously no difference, so let's add some fancy things. So let's find a container. Okay, so the Vue container. Just open the default view again here, and let's take the slots here. Okay, still no difference, but let's use an amazing nav bar. Here we have a navigation menu, which is a very classic menu, already with all the stuff you still need. You just have to make it dynamic using some items. I'm going to copy those items here and already use it in my script tag, and using the Vue navigation menu just inside the Vue container. Of course, you're free to pass the props you want and the class you desire here. And let's go. We already have some fancy things. So now I want to tell you, I'm not going to build a whole landing page. I'm just going to show you how you can customize things, which is more interesting, I think. How to use this built-in theming with Nuxt UI 3. So first thing first, I want to add some new colors. In real world project, most of the time you're the client you work for or yourself. You just want to add some fancy new color, okay? In the app folders, you can find these assets, and inside it, the CSS folder. And inside, at last, we have main.css, which already imports Tailwind CSS4, not the beta one, but the official, and the Nuxt UI. Here you have some font sans, so some font wrapped inside this object using the theme directive. Okay, so we are free to use any style you want. You can reuse in making the most of variables, CSS variables that already exist, such as primary. So, for example, let's see about the configuration here in the app config ts. Those colors. It says that primary is emerald by default, and that's why it's a kind of greenish button. So let's see. If I say I want a pink now, we have a nice pinkish color. But let's say that I want something more, another variant of pink, something darker. I can here take this already generated by ChatGPT, obviously, and I'm gonna add it in my main CSS, which is basically reusing some CSS variables and mapping to a darker variant of pink, and here we go. We already have styled, customized our new color. Okay, it's okay for the pink color, but what if we want some color that still does not exist? So, for example, some orangish, yellowish, salmon color, for example. So you can say here, I want to use as a primary color salmon, and here of course it doesn't exist, so there's no problem. You can still create a new color here, and in your main.css I keep the pink variants and can add those salmon variants, and if I go back I have my own color. So this really useful, really simple customization. But let's dive into something more interesting. You have noticed or not in the app config.ts that you have this button object. So obviously you can customize a lot of things through this file, and if I jump to the button here and I scroll down, of course everything here is some fancy props you can use for changing the color, changing the link, tell the component is loading or not. But what's really interesting is if you scroll down here, you have the theme, okay, which means you can customize a lot of things. You already have this UI and this button key here and here. I'm gonna get rid of this default variant, but here you can override some stuff. If I say here I'm using the color neutral, and in my index I'm using a new button. So let's say new button here, and I'm going to my new button. It's gonna be here black, of course. So it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna get rid of it, okay? And now I'm gonna use the slot space here, and I'm gonna write some style that will take precedence over the basic style. For example, hope it's not broken here. And let's say that here you notice that because those two buttons on the right are links, my cursor is here, I have this style, but not this one. Let's say that I always want my button to have the hover cursor, style. So let's just write it here in the base array, hover pointer. Oh no, it's cursor pointer. So now I just refresh my page, and this button to the left has this behavior now, and it doesn't matter if it's a link or not. So it's the expected behavior, so I'm happy with that. But let's say now I want to have some more granularity about my customization. I want to customize it more. By the way, you can use a string here inside of this array. Okay, it's still working. Let's say that this button needs to have a specific, very particular style, but I just want this very button to have this style. So let's use the UI prop here, and you're free to use the here, the everything that lives in the slots object here. So let's say that I want to use, for example, I'm going to erase things with base, so base, and let's add, I don't know, a massive padding, P10, and here we go. We have a massive padding, but it doesn't matter, so it's obvious that this button has its own customization, its own style, and it's a very powerful thing. So you have global changes, you can have some more granular things, and you can really add some more interesting stuff, interesting style to a very component, the one you selected, which is very amazing for real-world application where something are not always built in a standard way, so it's very cool. Here we go for the Nuxt UI v3 video. I hope you liked it, and see you next time.